shit just hit the fan, didn't it?
No, that title isn't clickbait. A lot of franchises are known for their atmosphere, deep mythology, intense jump scares, and then there's Wishmaster. A franchise which I can't say is too good. The pacing is questionable, the effects are bad, and stuff like consistency and basic logic are treated the same way Michael Bay treats the plot.
What have you done?
Thing is though, it's fun, and I know I say that a lot, but in this case, unapologetically insane. That kind of fun. Obviously the focus is the genie known as the Djinn, and wishes that go horribly wrong. And when I say these movies are insane, they are, but none of them are quite the same. Aside from one installment that I would call bad, each one is honestly very unique. For some it's the wishes and how they get twisted, others just the events that go down. But for a franchise that's mostly straight to video, and barely even got one theatrical movie, I wouldn't normally be saying you have to see these. It's the kind of thing you watch at 2 a.m. and start questioning your life choices halfway through, but you keep watching. It's not peak horror, Hellraiser is literally more grounded. That's a franchise about a BDSM demon who invades your house because you solved the puzzle box you bought off Etsy, but I don't think you're going to be coming back to rewatch this. A combination of chaos and dark humor define the franchise, and it does it in a way that you can't really stop watching. Unlike Terrifier, that's actually good, I'll die on that hill. I can't say many of these are, but the undeniable and highly overlooked villain, the Djinn, may be one of the most bizarrely charismatic horror movie figures. Played brilliantly by Andrew Divoff, which unfortunately did not last, but if there is one definite pro here, it's what he did with this character. The rest is, I don't completely know. It's all definitely something. And the first movie that came out just soon enough to get into a theater is interesting.
Tell them there is something loose in their city. Something which feeds on wishes.
One of the many infamous things about the first Wishmaster movie are the exaggerated names involved. One being Wes Craven, technically, but he was only an executive producer. A lot of big horror names were heavily advertised. Ted Raimi, Kane Hodder, Reginald Bannister, Tony Todd. But aside from Robert Englund, who was given a somewhat prominent role, they're all cameos. Angus Grimm didn't even appear, he just narrated at the beginning, so it wasn't exactly a horror icon reunion. It was written by Peter Atkins, known for his work on Hellraiser, and directed by Robert Kurtzman, who was better known as a special effects artist. And let's just say, given it was his directorial debut, I'd say that shows. However, as I've been saying, the star here is Andrew Divoff, who is just about as iconic in my book. I'm going to say something very controversial, but aside from my man Freddy Krueger, I don't particularly love many of the big names in slasher movies. Michael Myers, Jason, yeah, they're iconic, but would they be if they came out today? I really don't think so. There were a couple of good Chainsaw movies, and Leatherface was a bit more memorable, but it's not so much what made the first movie so terrifying. That came down to atmosphere, overly realistic stuff to the point it was kinda real. Not the events of the movie, that's a myth, but some shenanigans did go down. What I'm trying to say is I much prefer horror movie villains who did something. The scene-stealing Candyman, intimidating Pinhead, the wildly comedic Pennywise. Art the Clown became iconic without speaking. Again, I'll die on that hill. And Andrew Divoff, without question, makes the Djinn into one of those characters. He couldn't give the movie a good rating, only 25% positive. The box office wasn't bad. And if a charismatic magic genie is the best thing about the movie, logically, that's the expected outcome. But in reality, there is one other thing you can't deny this movie nailed, and that's the intro. Not only does it get across that vague wishes are a bad idea, it also explains that if the third wish is made for the person who frees the Djinn, it will release legions of them onto the earth. That about does it for the plot, but we also get a good idea of how the movie's gonna look. You know, effect-wise. It's some of the most fucked up imagery I've seen in a movie that isn't trying to be obsessively violent. We got a guy becoming a lizard. I can't call any of it good, but it's definitely memorable, and I don't even think it's just the intro. After accidentally killing Ted Raimi, a number of events lead the plot device Fire Opal to our heroine, I guess Alexandra, played by Tammy Lauren. She accidentally wakes the Djinn, meaning she must make 3 wishes, and the prophecy will be fulfilled. And in the meantime, the Djinn grants the wish of anybody who wants it in return for their soul. If you can't tell, the plot of the movie is the bare bones minimum. While I do find the interpretation of the Djinn to be somewhat fascinating, that being his lore, I wouldn't say the plot of the movie is particularly compelling. Half of it is just explaining stuff while the Djinn causes chaos. It's basically Inception, if instead of dreams, it was death and body horror. It's trying to find Alex, she's trying to piece the plot together. Eventually they meet, and from there it's okay, but it's more than half the movie. At least it's entertaining, and like a certain movie we'll get to, watching the Djinn do his thing with Divoff's charismatic personality is still fun.
3 wishes, Alexandra. Doesn't that intrigue you? Just a little.
So while you do kinda want something to happen, at least you're not bored. Well, kinda. I wouldn't call Alex a very compelling lead, as she's somebody you really don't care about. They try by giving her one of those tragic backstories involving a fire in which only she and her sister got out, not her parents. She has her friend Josh who won't last too long, invoking sadness. But the way it goes down is Josh wants to be more than friends, but she's afraid to do that. He gets killed examining the opal, followed by not very convincing sadness.
Lady, hey!
Josh! You see?
Listen.
You see? Get off of me!
And since she gave him the opal and opted not to take their relationship further, she of course blames herself, just like she did with the fire, so in the end, it all fits in together. The problem is she isn't given a legitimate reason to feel guilty. She couldn't have known the explosion would happen. It's okay to say I want to stay friends. It's not like the Hartford University. Opinions are allowed. And because his death has no impact aside from what the plot says it does, Josh feels kind of irrelevant. In fact, he is. This leads to it not being compelling at all, because you're given no reason to care, so it isn't until her and the Djinn meet that things start to get good.
A trip to the moon. A visit to Pharaoh's Egypt.
What happened if I wished you dead?
They do address how she can't just wish to kill him, saying it's not possible, which is a good thing. But the inherent question that I have throughout most of these movies is, why does the Djinn always threaten the protagonist? Wouldn't it be easier to just act nice, show up in a human form, say, hey, you get 3 wishes, like a fucking Disney genie? Maybe it's because whenever a wish gets granted, she kinda loses it mentally. But if you tell somebody what will happen if they make 3 wishes being not ideal, it's likely they're gonna put up a fight. This issue remains through most of the franchise, as does the wish logic being very inconsistent. You don't have to say I wish, simply saying I want something to the Djinn is good enough.
Am I to understand this is not something you wish to see?
Uh-huh.
With that being said, the actual inconsistency doesn't come until the next movie. The only thing I'd really call a stretch would be the security guard Tony Todd's cameo. Djinn says, would you like to escape? He nods. He becomes an escape artist who doesn't know how to escape, so it's not even close. And it is the only wish in the movie to have me call bullshit. Still, complaints aside, you can't deny the entertainment value here. It's about the crazy what the fuck moments, well, that and Andrew Divoff. Not quite as outlandish as the later movies, but the scene showing us the victims who traded in their souls kinda reminds me a lot of the cut version of Event Horizon. The whole scene is ridiculous and maybe even a bit too long, but who cares? You have this one scene when a bum wants a pharmacist to get cancer and die, resulting in this. And while the effects are definitely hit or miss, apparently there was no budget left to have the Djinn go through someone. This also leads you to question how many wishes the individual gets. In the sequel, it's only 1 wish aside from the one who woke him. But in this one, the guard first tells him to leave, in which he has to, until he sarcastically dares him to go through him. In the same scene, he entices Nick to get her dressed by increasing the value of something, but apparently that didn't count. And he also gets $1 million. From her mother's life insurance policy after killing her in a plane crash. Don't know why I only wanted $1 million, but it does seem the movie doesn't really have any wish limit. Why the sequel added one, I don't know. It affects one scene, which isn't important. But then again, in both movies, he offers the lead one free wish, so I think the rules are whatever the plot needs. Like I said, consistency does not define these, but it does end with a big party massacre. We got intestines eating people, pianos decapitating people. It may not be the best looking, but is that really what you're going to be thinking? I would think not. I don't want to keep using fun as an excuse because it isn't, and I think the one thing this movie and most of the franchise gets wrong is not being in on the joke. You get a sense they don't realize how stupid a lot of this is. That's why the pacing is so problematic. The backstory they gave Alex is actually taken seriously, despite not affecting anything after that. And for some reason or another, we're supposed to be sad when Josh dies, and happy for them in the end. No, it's not one of those bad ending movies. The Djinn may be the master of twisting wishes, but he's no match for plot convenience.
I wish Mickey Torelli hadn't been drinking on the job 2 days ago.
You really couldn't think of any other meaning for that. And again, you could just wish the Djinn climb some mountain and stay there. It's not that complicated. But to get back on topic, happy ending when they're now together, and I really believe they expect us to care. It's unclear if Alex remembers. Technically, she shouldn't. But if you're gonna make a movie as outlandish and ridiculous as Wishmaster, I don't know if it's the right note to end on. In the end, I can't complain about this movie getting bad reviews, but I also can't say I didn't enjoy it. Kinda. It's down to the Djinn being so memorable, the scenes being insane. It's not really a recommendation, more of a guilty pleasure, but it's just inoffensive enough that I can still have fun with it. I wasn't excited about going back to rewatch it, but upon doing so for this video, it wasn't a bad time. The question is, can the sequel just be as inoffensive, retain some consistency, and deliver another insane movie? 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
I was in a hole once for 3,000 years. This should be a breeze.
You a fucking nutcase. I'm gonna take care of you. Now get his ass out of here!
Like I said earlier, the first season probably came out just early enough to get a theatrical release, given its quality, so the sequel being straight to video doesn't give me a lot to say about its production. There are a few mathematical consistencies, if you want to call them that. Exactly half the budget, almost identical runtime, every movie released 2 years apart. Aside from that, it has a one-time director and writer, Jack Shoulder, and again Andrew Divoff returning as the Djinn. That's the main thing. I don't know how we could technically be the same, inherit the same dead body, because it's not the same body, but come on, we're not going to question that. That said, there isn't much more to add. It's the same charismatic, overblown personality, aside from maybe the grin he holds throughout most of the movie. I can't say he does anything new, but nothing with this character could be a complete waste.
What'll it be, brother? Power, money, sex.
That said, I feel Morgana, played by Holly Fields, is an improvement compared to the first movie. Not by much, and nothing I'd call memorable, but I don't know, slightly more relatable, as in she was actually with her dead lover in this one, so I can kinda see it. We don't know who the dead lover is, and it happened because they were robbing a museum and killing innocent people with families. Maybe you shouldn't have broke the glass after successfully staying quiet, but again, a slight improvement. She ends up freeing the Djinn, must make 3 wishes. The Djinn again makes the consequences obvious, so she'll refuse. But this time he also needs 1,000 souls, making the other wishes more mandatory. It's again explained you can't kill the Djinn or get rid of it, even though you can. We've seen it. I wish the event that freed him didn't happen, but that's ignored forever. So the new method ends up being what the plot says works, like it will be in every sequel to come. Thing is, when it comes to ranking these movies, people seem real mixed as to where this should be, and I can kinda see why. The wishes, the thing you come to see aside from Andrew Divoff, are not only inconsistent, but also real contrived. We have them backfiring for reasons that don't make any sense. Telling him to freeze makes him freeze. The guy wanting to escape prison causes him to smash himself through the bars. But the problem is,
I wanna walk right through the bars, man, and walk right on out of the jail. Come on.
yeah, that's not happening. And apparently somebody saying the casino wishes them a lot of luck is enough to automatically give them all luck.
What kind of bullshit is this?
Keep in mind, he still gets their souls without them agreeing. And like I said earlier, all of a sudden, they only get one wish. It really is a standalone sequel, I guess. And only one wish seems to be the only rule. Then you have outright plot convenience, big shocker. Morgana's boyfriend wishes he was never born. A bit harsh, I'd say. I think it's overly apparent that would mean the events of the movie wouldn't happen, but we need not think about that. Using the dumbest wording possible, wishing to get wasted, wanting to be alone with him, couldn't have made it easier. And given Morgana has to be pure of heart, don't ask, she wishes the man she shot was alive again. And like the first movie, would it be that hard to twist? Only one wish goes completely according to plan. It may seem dumb to complain about this, but you do want some continuity, and the first movie at least gave us that. This one just does whatever it wants, but this shouldn't be too surprising. And an example of bizarre decision making is having the Djinn spend more than half the movie in prison. I get the reasoning, a lot of easily obtainable souls, but maybe not most of the movie. I suppose it comes down to the budget or something like that, but in the meantime, we only have, again, the lead piecing shit together. She has a new boyfriend, a priest, who I think was her former boyfriend, I don't care. And I'll tell you, nothing about either of these two makes any fucking sense. Like I said, she has to be pure, but in this case, that means cutting out the tip of her finger?
How's that?
At some point, she tries randomly shooting the Djinn, that goes nowhere. But what I find really amusing is throwing away all that purity by fucking the priest. That happens. Dead serious. She's with the priest. I do believe any kind of premarital sex makes you impure, but it's the priest. I really can't get over that. I can't believe nobody thought about that. But the thing is, they're still not in on the joke. You just don't get that vibe at all. Screwing the priest after cutting off her finger to become pure for some reason. It's treated like a reasonable set of events, and it's not even considering the other crazy shit in this movie. Because believe me, if this movie tops the original in any way, it's delivering plenty of that. The boyfriend literally becoming unborn, like in reverse. People still collecting money during the movie's massacre at the casino, not to mention other elements of that. But the most notable thing has to be the lawyer literally fucking himself.
What the fuck are you doing, man?
You gotta love how he's still talking about his case, you just gotta love it. But yeah, it doesn't give it a pass. This movie does have fun moments, I can't say that I hated it, but I also can't recommend it. Simply being fun and having a charismatic lead villain doesn't excuse this many issues. I didn't even get to the effects. They're of course going to be a downgrade in terms of how they look. I think the locusts here say it all. But we don't need things to look good. Creativity would be enough, but the whole movie is essentially a downgrade. Given the quality of the first movie, you can't get much lower, but lower they go, and at some point you gotta say enough's enough. The same bad pacing, scenes that make no sense, the consistency of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. I don't know if I'd put it in the lower half, that's complicated. It depends what you expect from these movies. It's definitely not the average expectation, but I assure you no matter how you look at it, it's not the worst. No, to get that done, it's the classic method of writing. The latter two Jaws movies used it quite heavily. It's a form of writing that we call nothing happens. So first you can hit the like button, it's right down there, and consider subscribing. If you wish it.
See that you are. There must be something we can do. Get a priest or something?
It doesn't work that way. At least not in anything I've read.
With the budget even smaller, and the question as to why they keep making these ever growing, it's another non-fascinating production. Directed by Chris Angel and written by Alex Wright. Only thing is, this time Andrew Divoff had his own script for the movie titled Wishmaster: The Third Millennium, which would have incorporated the Y2K paranoia, being much larger in scale, an American warship being struck by missiles in Asia, while a meeting at the UN is interrupted by creatures coming to life and tearing the crowd apart. Only problem is, money. As in, it wouldn't be financially feasible, and upon Lionsgate rejecting this, Divoff chose to depart the project, on good terms, I guess. He even said playing the Djinn in the future wouldn't be out of the question. That didn't happen though. The next two movies filmed back-to-back would star John Novak, with unique actors playing the human counterparts in both films. Novak is fine, not much else to say. Definitely not as good, and also not as prevalent in the third movie, more so in the fourth movie. But he doesn't have Divoff's charisma, so that's gone, and so is the other thing that made the movie stand out. No more crazy shit, no massacre at the end. Maybe a few things catch your eye, but overall it's just really fucking boring, easily making it the worst one. Yeah, no justifying this. If you think any Wishmaster movie is worse, then you're being way too technical. The first issue is not so much the Djinn, more so the human. Professor Brash, played by Jason Connery, yes, that Connery, and despite being the son of the original 007, you wouldn't guess it.
You don't appreciate the insinuation, don't you?
I don't know what happened, but his dad's charisma is apparently not genetic. He even needs to wish for people to love him. He's like a pedophile in this. And given he spends most of the movie in this form, it only adds to its dull pacing. H.A. Cook as Ian Collins is another lead you don't care about. They again gave her a backstory with her family dying, this time in a car explosion. She even wakes up to contemplate suicide, or just pretend to, because that's funny, I guess. And there will be another accident later, so there you go. Yeah, it's only there for that reason. The plot is for the most part no different, only on a campus this time. Nicely offering to grant the wishes is still not an option, threats are better, and the whole 1,000 soul thing is gone. It's just fulfill the prophecy with 3 wishes. So if another wish does get granted, it's usually just to entice her into wishing to undo it. Or just because the movie gets so boring, something needs to happen. The only real memorable scene involves somebody wishing to lose weight, having the obvious outcome. But any other attempt at being ridiculous in this movie, it just comes across as stupid. For example, after more than half the movie of nothing happening, she wishes to summon the Archangel Michael, who possesses her boyfriend's body, Greg. It's kind of like they watched The Prophecy with Christopher Walken, and thought, yeah, let's do that, but dumber. I'll admit, it is a new idea, but it's little too dumb too late. The voice is stupid, the way he looks in that body is stupid, and so are the events that transpire. It's not fun like the previous movies, it doesn't have you questioning what's gonna happen next. It's just not the case here. And they even managed to give this movie, a cop-out ending, when she tries to commit suicide to stop it, which she can do, unlike the last movie. But the Djinn stops her, her willingness to die allows her to wield the plot device sword, that's the thing here. And upon killing the Djinn, fatally falling means nothing because Michael says so.
That's bullshit.
So, a cop-out it is, but you'd have to be fucking nuts to care. I have to say something about this, it's not a movie I enjoy talking about, who would? So, let's just get this part done with. Consistency, as expected, is gone. He can use his power whenever he pleases, no wish needed, and in a moment of complete and utter nonsense, in order to get the professor's body, he blackmails him into making a wish for the 2 women he finds the most attractive to be there, and be in love with him, but the Djinn needs his body, so they kill him, the reason being... I've got no words. Like anything else, the effects are no longer bad in a fun way, they're just bad. This is supposed to be a chewed off face, fixing his mangled body, whatever the hell this is. It's the worst movie, no question about it, and while the next one still isn't technically good, it's hard to believe they were filmed back to back. Just keep that in mind.
Is love truly blind, my dear? I'm afraid not.
As expected, nothing to say about production, aside from being written by John Benjamin Martin, and Wishmaster, the Prophecy Fulfilled, is the most random batshit installment of all the Wishmaster movies. That's not what I or anybody expected with the 3rd straight-to-video release, and let's be honest, we know what to expect by now. Consistency is gonna be hit or miss, how the wishes actually function. Sometimes he needs a wish to use his power, sometimes he doesn't. And honestly, I think the movie is more on track when it comes to established rules. But to really understand the bizarre mindset, let's just run through it. The opening of the movie is literally our lead couple, Lisa and Sam, buying a new house and fucking immediately, like really hard. The bed breaks. And then the next time we see him, he's crippled. Yeah, we don't actually see the accident. It's later said the brakes on his bike didn't work, but I really think we should have seen that. I guess you thought they were in a Paranormal Activity sequel. Okay, so this may seem wrong, but Sam is gonna be one of the funniest assholes I've seen. The way he treats Lisa is so unjustifiable and completely in his mind, accusing her of cheating, refusing to accept she isn't, acting awful in every scene he's in.
We need to get you to the doctor.
It's not your problem anymore.
Pretend like it never happened. Pretend like I didn't see the way you looked at me when you bathed me and dressed me and wheeled me down the street. The settlement's half yours. Why don't we just get it over with and let me pretend to enjoy whatever time I have left?
It's so forced, it's somehow funny, and I don't think I've ever enjoyed watching somebody so intolerable this much. Also, the movie's obsessed with sex. The intro made that obvious. It's funny too because the first two movies didn't even have nudity, but in this one, it seems to be the underlying theme. Sam is now jealous of the lawyer, Steven, played by Michael Trucco, who is way better than Jason Connery. And it is odd that as the movies keep going, the fire opal becomes easier to find. The first movie, it was an ancient statue. The second, it made its way into a museum. The third one, she at least had to find a way to open it. But now, some antique box off the internet is where it wound up. After wasting his wish on nothing, Steven becomes the new host. And like I said, he is a big improvement. He's no Andrew Divoff, but he does have some charisma, he's trying, and nobody in this movie can be accused of not doing that. One of the best things about the movie, though, is the Djinn finally using some common sense.
Your identity will offer me easy access to the Wicker.
That's right, no more using intimidation, stating what will happen if she makes 3 wishes. Instead, he'll act normal to get that done willingly. But to ensure it won't be too easy this time, it requires her to say, I wish. I know, plot convenience, it is what it is. She wishes to get Sam his money, which doesn't make him happy.
Great. Now we can start arguing about how to split it.
She wishes he can walk again, which again doesn't work out perfectly. He's still in pain. But she actually does make the 3rd wish to be able to love Steve for who he really is, and some reason that's a problem. Apparently that can't be twisted, she actually does have to love him for who he really is, as in the Djinn, and that doesn't make any sense. Forget the previous movie easily twisting that. Obviously, he could just make her love him. Why wouldn't that be possible? But when the other Djinns appear and question why he doesn't grant the wish, it's eventually implied that he may have feelings for her. Thing is, they don't go into that enough. If you miss this scene when it's mentioned, you would think he just needs her to love him, so it's still kind of questionable. Another unique idea, definitely, but it needed more development. Anyhow, a hunter is sent down to kill her to stop this, because again, we can do that now. I do question whose side he's on. But then it's followed by more talk about sex. Upon going after her, it leads into an honestly pretty good fight. Nothing too great, but for a movie like this, it's not bad. But it leads to, you guessed it, more sex. Then the most bizarre line in the movie.
There's a lot more to love than just great sex.
Have you not been paying attention? But obviously this doesn't work. None of his methods are going to make her love him. You'd think the Djinn would know that. The fact that he may actually love her is not part of the equation here at all. They don't bring that up. It's just he needs the wish granted. But despite supposedly leaving, Sam shows up and apparently knows nothing about this franchise.
I wish I had a way to kill you.
Okay, if it was really that simple.
Granted!
I'm still not mad. Missed this movie. This plays out as expected, they both end up being impaled, but the way they do it, pushing him into Sam, with the sword sticking out of him, is actually a creative finish. That being said, it's a very desolate ending, the only real sad ending in any of these movies, but she still has the memories, so I guess that's enough. Really, she somewhat smiles, even though he became an asshole, with no justifiable reason. That's the plot of the movie, kinda to just run through it. It's pretty bizarre shit, but it's also so fucking hilarious. Sam saying he can't love anymore due to being crippled while on a porn site, and then when he can walk again, he still won't listen and goes to a strip club. His douchebag nature is really something, but despite being a character you're supposed to hate to death, you can really only laugh at it. That's the crazy thing. I don't know if it was the intention, but it's definitely how it turned out. On top of that, some of the wishes are ridiculous. Wanting killer sex and getting just that, despite nobody being there. It just happens. It'd be like Bedazzled if Rob Zombie directed. A waitress being kissed by everybody with nobody questioning it. This moment here.
Brother, I'd sell my soul just to be a pimple on her ass.
That's good for the imagination. And aside from watching the opposing attorney torture himself before signing the settlement, it's funny because of how they look at him as if he's doing it on purpose. At some point out of nowhere, Sam starts carving a statue of her. I guess he quit being an asshole. I can't do it justice, it's not that kind of movie. I never thought it would be, but overall, it's not that bad either. If you're gonna ignore the insanity and look at it technically, it's not amazing, maybe not even that good, but I can't say it's anything less than the second best installment. Yeah, part 2 had Divoff, but still lots of questionable choices. Stuff like the long prison sentence didn't benefit anything, and overall, it was still paced terribly. Even part 1 kinda had that issue, but somehow the final Wishmaster movie, shot back to back with the worst movie, is pretty decent. I really don't know what the common opinion is, it doesn't even have the worst rating, but that aside, I still recommend it just because of how crazy it is. It's not the very best, but in a way, it's the most memorable. So yeah, in the end, Wishmaster really is the best, worst franchise ever. It's never truly scary, never truly consistent, and never really that good, but it's also never boring, aside from, well, you know. It's a bizarre cocktail of glorified cameos, questionable logic, hilariously twisted wishes, and one of the most underrated villains known to horror. You got intestines eating people, priests losing their purity in the dumbest ways possible, and you simply don't come to Wishmaster for the tight writing or the award-winning acting. You come for a genie who can turn sarcasm into a death sentence, and for chaos that somehow escalates with each movie. Again, aside from, well, you know. The sequels become more fascinating because of it, and for a genre that more times than not overstays its welcome, Wishmaster somehow doesn't fall into that. That's why, in a way, it deserves some recognition, not because it's a great series, not because it's scary, definitely not for its consistency, but because it's unapologetically insane. And on occasion, that may be all you need. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, please share it, consider subscribing, hitting the like button down below, and let me know what you thought about Wishmaster and its insanity down in the comments. I'm the Analyst, and remember kids, don't be an asshole. That's the only real lesson here.